Hare Krishna, welcome everyone to our today's session on Mahabharata characters. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuro Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyare Shatarine जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So welcome everyone. We are discussing the wonderful life of Bhishma Dev, one of the Mahajans. And last time we discussed how when Vichitravirya and Chitrangad both were dead, Satyavati, she pleaded with Bhishma that now you please get married, although you have taken a vow of celibacy, but now it is a dire need, it is an emergency. But Bhishma, he was very much, focused and steady on his vow of celibacy. And therefore, when he didn't accept the proposal, Satyavati, she said, at least, beget children even if you don't want to get married. Bhishma said, actually, I have not just taken a vow of not marrying, I have taken a vow of celibacy, and I cannot give up my vow. And we saw that this was not just a whimsical vow. Bhishma Dev was not just thinking about his vow, he was thinking about the future of the dynasty. He was thinking that if he gets married or if he begets children, then in future, if some other children are born, then there may be a conflict in the dynasty. So therefore, because he was very much steady, firm, he had faith that if I stick to my vows, Krishna is going to help. Krishna will give intelligence. He'll give the proper way. And then Satyavati, he revealed a plan. He revealed a story of how Vyasdev was born from her even before getting married to Shantanu. And ultimately, Vyasdev was called and he begot children from Ambika and Ambalika. So that's how we saw that Bhishma, because he had such faith, he had such determination, so the arrangement was made. So in our spiritual journey, we may feel that, oh, I cannot continue with my vows, I cannot continue with my practice. But if we have faith, if we have determination, then Lord will show the way. So that's what we discussed. So then, after uh, uh, Vyasadev, he begot children from Ambika and Ambalika, and the maid servant also. So Dhritarashtra, Pandu, and Vidura, they were born. So Bhishma, he was taking care of all of these princes very nicely because he had taken a vow, and all these princes they were fatherless because Vyasadev he just begot children and he was gone. So Bhishma was taking care of the princes, all these three sons very nicely. Vidura he was very intelligent, he was very learned, and Dhritarashtra because he was blind, although he was elder, so he could not become the king. So Pandu he was given the position of king, and then ultimately they also grew, became young. Again, Bhishma had to now arrange for the marriage of all these princes. So he went to Kandahar, the modern today's Kandahar, the same province in Afghanistan, and he asked for Gandhari. So he brought Gandhari to be married to Dhritarashtra. Along with Gandhari, Shakuni also came because it was the custom that brother goes along with the sister to see her off. So Shakuni, he thought that his sister is going to get married to Pandu, and he was thinking that she will be very very happy because she'll become the queen because Pandu was the king. But Shakuni, he was very much disappointed when he came to know that this Gandhari is getting married to Dhritarashtra. So Gandhari, personally, she had no personal expectations. She was not having any, desire for prestige, for the position of the queen. But Shakuni, he had so many expectations. Shakuni, he was not dealt. He thought that his sister was not dealt with properly. He was cheated. He thought that he was cheated, and therefore, because he was cheated, he was thinking that, oh, whole Gandhar dynasty is cheated. So Gandhari, he was personally very simple, chaste lady. When she came to know that my would-be husband is blind, she decided to blindfold herself for her whole life. And to such an extent that she followed that vow throughout her life. Only once she took off her fold, that too on the 18th day of the war, because she wanted to give protection to her son Duryodhan. And because she was following the vow of chastity, she became so very powerful that just by glancing at Duryodhan, his whole body became very, very invincible. But Shakuni, because he had so many desires, and all his desires were frustrated. He thought, oh, my sister is going to become the queen, and I will get lots of benefit from that. He vowed to take a revenge. He thought, maybe at least if my sister cannot become the queen, at least her son should become the king. So therefore, he started planning against Pandavas. Sometimes our attachments, they may pervert, our desires, our consciousness in such weird ways. Although Gandhari never cared for position, but Shakuni, he had so many expectations that he started planning. The greater the expectations are, the greater person suffers when the expectations are not fulfilled. The greater the expectations, the greater the frustration will be. Scriptures, they describe very succinctly, Asha hi paramam dukkham nairashyam paramam sukham. Dukkha, what is the cause of distress? If we have unrealistic expectations in life. All of us, we should live properly, try to make arrangements so that we can live peacefully. But if we have unrealistic expectations, then the result will be frustration. Result will be misery. The greater one wants to show others how big he is, the greater the anxiety he has. So therefore, people think, if I'll become rich, if I'll become powerful, I'll become famous, people will love me, people will glorify me, people will respect me. But actually, what happens is exactly opposite of that. Externally, people may come, people may glorify in front of us, but behind, they are thinking, oh, how good it would be if this person loses his all wealth. How nice it would be if he becomes defamed or insulted. Let him become bereft of all the pleasure, all the fame, all the money. That is the thought process going on in the minds of people. Generally, people, they want to become big, famous, wealthy, so that they will become happy, because they will find they'll get so many of the friends. But actually, these friends, many times, they have ulterior motives. Shakuni, because he had so many desires, when his desires were not fulfilled, he ultimately got frustrated. And he tried to fulfill his desires in all the perverted ways. So therefore, if somebody wants to be peaceful in life, Bhagavad Gita describes नास्ति बुद्धिरयुक्तस्य न चायुक्तस्य भावना न च भावायतः शान्तिर् अशान्तस्य कुतः सुखम् na asti buddhi. If a person is not focused, his mind is not focused in spiritual life, ayukta means he is not completely attached to spiritual wisdom, he cannot remain peaceful. A person who is humble naturally becomes peaceful because he thinks that I don't deserve all this glorification. Although he may be a very big personality, the more a person becomes bigger, the more a person becomes famous, wealthy, the natural outcome should be he should become humble. If a person becomes humble instead of all the opulences, then he'll be peaceful because he's always grateful. Whatever I have achieved by the mercy of the Lord. Shakuni, he could not accept this fact. He thought, I will do whatever is needed to get the kingdom for my sister's son. So she started planning everything. Bhishma, then he decided to go to a Swamvar of Yadu dynasty, and then he brought Kunti. Kunti was married to Pandu, and Pandu, actually Kunti, she was the son. She was the daughter of Shurasena. Shurasena was the father of Vasudev. So Kunti and Vasudev is the father of Krishna. So Kunti and Vasudev, they are brothers and sisters. So it so happened that there was one friend of Shurasena. His name was Kunti Bhoj. This person had no children. So Shurasena, he gave his own daughter Kunti. That time she was called as Pritha. He gave Pritha to Kunti Bhoj. And that's how this Pritha became known as Kunti. So then Bhishma, he brought Kunti and she was married to Pandu. Then he also went to Madradesh and he proposed. So Madradesh, the king was Shalya. So the daughter of Shalya, she was Madri. So Shalya, when he came to know that Bhishma has come to ask for the hand of my daughter, he became very happy. You know, now we have to understand that although Bhishma, he had already brought one princess, but then he also went to get another princess. So in Vedic culture, polygamy was allowed. What was the reason for polygamy? Because in the Vedic culture, it is described that uh, the women population is always more than men. That was the case. So if all the women had to get married, because women, it is supposed that because they are supposed to be given always protection, so everybody has to get married. So if women population is more, then not everybody can get married. So therefore, many times polygamy was allowed, and all these wives, they were taken care of very nicely. So this Bhishma, uh, he went to Shalya and he asked for the hand of uh, Madri for Pandu. Shalya said, "I am honored that the great, descendant of, Hastinapur has come. Great descendant of Kuru dynasty has come. But we have a custom. What is that custom? Custom is, generally in today's world, what is the custom? The daughter's side has to give lots of gift, lots of money, you know, to the girl, to the, uh, you know, husband side, to the boy's side. But in the previous times, the custom was completely different in the Vedic times. That's how you have to understand the Vedic culture was completely different than what it is today. Because people, they have started misunderstanding. They don't know what is the actual custom. So that's how they have started rejecting the Vedic culture. So Shalya said, we have a custom that boys' family give gifts to the girl's family, and then only we can give the girl. So Bhishma, he was aware of this. So he had already come with all the gifts. So we have to understand in the Vedic culture, the gifts which were given to the girl, they were the property of the girl. So it is completely opposite to the culture of dowry which is there in the present times. People sometimes they go to such extreme states to get dowry. But we have to understand that this is a perverted understanding of Vedic culture. When people they don't understand the spirit behind the rituals, slowly they think, oh, all these rituals are useless, and they reject all those rituals. Religion without philosophy is sentimentalism. Religion means what to do, and philosophy means why to do. Both are equally important to know why we are doing something and what we are supposed to do. If we are just following the rituals without understanding the philosophy why we have to do it, then it becomes just a sentiment. Just like, there is a stone lying on the roadside under a tree, and one person comes and puts some, kumkum and garland, and then people start coming and start worshipping that stone as god. That is just sentimentalism. So therefore we have to be very much aware of the philosophy behind the rituals. Ritual without proper understanding is called blind faith. Actually, ritual is like a container in which the spirit is stored. Spirit means our intention, our mood. So therefore, spirit and ritual becomes the spiritual. We cannot reject the rituals and claim ourselves to be a spiritual personality. So therefore, the Vedic culture, it was very much nicely described that money which was given to the girl, it would belong to the daughter, and it was her property. And whenever girl likes to use it, she can use it, and nobody had any right over that property. So Bhishma, he very nicely agreed, and he gave all the gifts. He gave dowry. So in Vedic culture, dowry was not mandatory, and it was not exploitative. It was a expression of love and affection of the father for his daughter. And it was not compulsory that, oh, you have to give that much dowry only. According to the capacity, whatever capacity father has, he gives. Similarly, things are applicable to a person who is coming to a house, a guest. In the Vedic times, it was described Atithi Devo Bhava. Somebody was saying that in Satyuga, on the door, you know, people would write Atithi Devo Bhava. In Treta Yuga, that means, oh, guest is a embodiment of God. In Treta Yuga, it was written Suswagatam. In Dwapar Yuga, Shubh Labh. And in Kali Yuga, what is written many times on the door? Beware of dogs. That is how things have changed. Every householder is supposed to welcome guests according to his capacity. Similarly, father, he gives lots of gifts to the daughter according to his capacity. So ultimately, this Madri, she was also married to Pandu. So Pandu had two queens, two wives, Queen Kunti and Madri. So this Pandu, he was very, very powerful personality. He went to Bhishma and said, I want to conquer all over the world because many kings are becoming adharmic. I want to establish the principles of dharma again. Bhishma, he became so very happy and he gave all the blessings and permission. Pandu, he went and all over the world he conquered, established the religious principles, brought lots of gifts, and Bhishma, he was so very proud. Pandu proved himself to be a worthy king. But then after this, Pandu by nature, he was a detached personality. He was not so much attracted to the worldly pleasures. So he went to Bhishma one day and he said, Oh father, oh grandfather, he was like Pitamaha, Bhishma. So he said, I am not so much interested in this royal opulence. I want to live in the forest. I want to live with the sages. Bhishma, although he felt so very bad, but because he knew that this is the ultimate purpose of a human being to ultimately connect to God, so he unwillingly he gave his permission and blessings. So now Pandu was about to go. So then the queens, Queen Kunti and Queen Madari, they were not supposed to go to the forest, but they said, for us, loyalty to our husband is more important than living in this royalty. So therefore, they also went with Pandu. So Pandu was living with the sages, doing meditation on the foothills of Himalayas, and Pandu sometimes he would go for hunting also, because that was the dharma of a Kshatriya to protect the sages who were staying in the forest. And sometimes the animals they would become, ferocious and they would start attacking sages also. So, to help the sages, he would go for hunting also. One day, as he was in the forest hunting, he saw a pair of deers uniting. He shot an arrow at the male deer. As soon as the arrow hit this male deer, to his surprise, this male deer was transformed into a sage. The sage was called Kindama. So Pandu, when he saw that this deer was a sage, he became completely devastated. He begged forgiveness. He said, "Oh great sage, I did not know that you were that deer." The sage, he became very angry. He was just crying in pain. He became very angry. He said, "How can you do this?" Pandu said, "I was doing a duty of a Kshatriya. I was just trying to, you know, learn some arts. I was just practicing so that I can help other sages." So this Brahmana, he knew that actually this is the duty of a king to, learn and practice this art of, archery. But then he said, but it is a principle that no one should kill a living entity who is engaged in the act of procreation. When Pandu he heard that, he became completely sad. He could not speak anything. He was completely shameful. He put his head down. This Brahmana, he said, "You have done a great sin. I'll curse you." But he said, "Because you killed me without knowing, you won't be punished with death. I'll not punish you. I'll not, curse you to die. But whenever next time you unite with your wife, you will die." Pandu, he became so very upset, so very sad, because he had offended a great sage. And now he would not be able to beget children. He came back to his ashram. And when his wives came to know this, they also were very sad. Kunti, that time, she disclosed her boon. that was given by Durvasa. And that's how Yudhishthir Maharaj told Kunti that now you please call the Devatas and beget children, which is needed for our dynasty to continue. So ultimately, the Pandavas were born from the Devatas, and after they were 14 years in the forest. One day, Pandu, he became so very obsessed with Madhuri and united with her. As a result, he died. Meanwhile, all these things were happening because now Pandu had departed. So Bhishma, he crowned Dhritarashtra as the king, although he was blind, he was not suitable for being the king, but still, because there was no king, Dhritarashtra was crowned as king. And Bhishma, he was training the sons of Dhritarashtra, Duryodhan, and all the other to become the prince regent. Although Duryodhan, he had no good qualities, he was not well behaved, he was very much pampered, he had no culture, he was displeasing to others. But still, because he was, to become the prince king, everybody just tolerated that. After the departure of Pandu, and because Pandu departed, Madhuri also, voluntarily entered the fire and departed with the husband. Kunti now came back with her 5 sons, 3 of her sons and 2 sons of Madhuri. In contrast to Kauravas, Pandavas were very cultured, well behaved, had all wonderful good qualities, and by those qualities they won the heart of everybody, including Bhishma. Bhishma, he started giving more attention to these Pandavas because they were fatherless. And naturally, they were attracting the attention of everybody by their good behavior. Duryodhan, by nature, he was so very envious. He started plotting against Pandavas. Bhishma, he was observing everything. He was trying to give good counsel to Duryodhan, to Dhritarashtra, but it was of no avail. Ultimately, Pandavas, they were sent along with Kunti to Varanavart, where they had made a huge palace of a combustible material lac, and somehow, and their plan was they wanted to burn these Pandavas alive along with Kunti. Somehow they were saved. They went to the forest. Dhritarashtra, he was the ruling king, and Duryodhan, he was the crowned prince. Then suddenly Pandavas, they appeared. The citizens could understand that this is a conspiracy of Duryodhan and allies. Everybody was talking ill about, Duryodhan, Dhritarashtra, and even Bhishma. Because Bhishma, although he was powerful, he didn't say anything. Bhishma, he went to Dhritarashtra and said, "Do you know what citizens are telling about us? Do you know how they are criticizing the whole royal dynasty, including you and me? Now, O Dhritarashtra, please call Pandavas immediately and give them the kingdom they deserve." Dhritarashtra, he understood the severity of the situation, and he called Pandavas back. Interestingly, although he gave them half of the kingdom, but he gave them the kingdom which was completely barren. He gave them Khandavprasth. Khandavprasth was a tract of land which was completely barren. Nothing was growing there, nobody was staying there. So although Dhritarashtra, he externally he showed that he had done a good justice, but he had made a great injustice. When somebody is blinded by the power, desire for wealth, desire for fame, he loses discrimination. He starts doing injustice to others. And that person may even justify his own intentions. Oh, I have done a right thing. That's what Dhritarashtra was doing. He thought, oh, I have done a great justice. I have given half of the kingdom to Pandavas. but actually he had given a part of land which was of no use. Problem is that when a person is obsessed with power, money, respect, he doesn't even realize that he is cheating others. And he thinks, oh, I can do anything because I have power. He can cheat people, but he cannot cheat the laws of nature. The laws of nature are all powerful. Everybody wants to live a happy and satisfied and wonderful, peaceful life. But if we are not living according to the laws of nature, if we are not living according to the laws which are mentioned in the scriptures they tell again and again that human being should be living the life of honesty, truthfulness, satyam. So when these principles are thrown apart, then there cannot be any peace in the society. So the Dhritarashtra, it was like a millionaire who has a big land. He gives half of the useless land, the land which was useless. He gives to his son, which he does not want. That's what Dhritarashtra did. Although Yudhishthir, he understood this, but he was such a obedient, loyal, respectful personality. He accepted this unfair deal. Then now they had to make a whole city there because there was nothing. So Yudhishthir, he started thinking that now I have to make a city. He wanted to do a Rajasuya Yagya. Bhima, although he was seeing everything, he could not oppose strongly the intentions and the actions of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. He could just give good counsel because he had taken a vow to always be on the side of the ruling king. And he had taken a vow to give all the good counsel to the ruling king. So therefore he was there always ready to give good counsel, but many times, most of the times, Dhritarashtra and Duryodhan, they were not listening to the good counsel of Bhishma. Even though he was not so happy, but still he had to be on the side of Kauravas. Then Yudhishthir, he sent all his brothers all over the world to get money, to get wealth, and to conquer all the kings because he wanted to do a Rajasuya Yagya. The Pandavas, they went everywhere, conquered, and that's how Arjuna got this name Dhananjaya. Dhananjaya means the conqueror of wealth. And then Rajasuya sacrifice was done. So this Rajasuya sacrifice is the glory, prime glory of Bhishma. You know why? Bhishma, he got to glorify the Supreme Lord. Because in assembly, in this Rajasuya Yagya, you know, the question was who is the supreme worshipable personality? Because that personality is also offered the Agra Puja. Agra Puja means the first worship. Sahadeva, he got up. One of the Pandavas, Sahadev, he got up and he proposed that, oh, none other than Krishna. Krishna is a supreme Lord. And he started glorifying the super excellent powers and the feats of Krishna. Everybody, entire assembly erupted with joy. Everybody was so very happy, apart from few envious people like Shishupal, Duryodhana, and others. So therefore, we have to understand when this Sahadev, he made a proposal, everybody supported the decision. Whenever a good decision is taken, it is our duty to support that good decision. We have to be the part of solution with whatever capacity we have. As it is said, if we are not a part of solution, we are a part of problem. So therefore, all the members of assembly, they supported the proposal of Sahadev. Bhishma, he became so very happy when, because now his lord was getting glorified. Bhishma also got up and he also glorified Krishna. Suddenly, Shishupal, in the midst of everybody, he got up, enraged, angry. He was hissing like a snake, become very, very angry. He got up and he started criticizing and insulting Krishna. He said, "Oh, this Krishna is a cowherd boy. What good he has done? Nobody knows how he took birth. He ran away from the battlefield of Kurukshetra," and he spoke so many things. Because that was the nature of Shishupal, always envious. When Bhishma and all the pious kings they heard this, they became completely enraged. That is the nature of a devotee. He cannot, you know, he cannot just tolerate their Lord getting criticized. So therefore, whenever a wrong thing is happening, one should not speak, one should not sit silently. As it is said, one should not become the silent spectator of a crime, because if you are neutral in the situations of injustice, actually you are choosing to be on the side of the oppressor. So therefore, all the pious kings, they got up. We have to take sides. We must take sides. If we are not taking sides, we are helping the oppressor. If somebody thinks, "Oh, I'll be on the side, I'll be neutral." But if somebody is neutral, that means they are helping the oppressor to do their mischievous activities. Bhishma, immediately he got up. He said, you know, "How can you say that Krishna is not worthy of glorification? Krishna is a supreme personality. Even as a child, he has killed so many of the demons." When he started recounting the names of all the demons which Krishna has killed. Krishna is such a wonderful personality. He is a Maharathi. You know, Maharathi means the foremost of the warriors, unbeatable. He lifted his whole Govardhan when he was 7 years old. So many things Bhishma spoke. All the devotees, they rejoiced. When they heard this, everybody rejoiced. Everybody was so very happy. Shishupal, he got up, he screamed with a roaring voice. He said, "Oh, there is nothing great about Krishna. He killed just few wizards. And he lifted a small pebble, and people are calling that he lifted Govardhan. Who is he? He is a killer of his own uncle. What? Who can be more sinful than this personality? He killed his own uncle." That is how a envious person is. However good quality may be there in a personality, envious person cannot see any good in others. There are two types of mentalities people have: mentality of a bee and mentality of a fly. Honeybee, even if there is a whole place full of garbage, one corner, if there is one flower blooming, honeybee will just neglect all the garbage which is available. It will go directly onto that flower and taste the nectar. On the contrary, a fly, even if there is a garden full of flowers, in one corner of garden, if there is a garbage lying, fly will search out that garbage and it will go there. People, either they have a bee mentality or a fly mentality. Envious people, they have a mentality of fly. Even if they meet a person who has all good qualities, it is like a garden full of wonderful flowers, wonderful qualities, but they will find only a small fault and they will keep speaking about it. Spirituality teaches us to move from this fly mentality to bee mentality. Shishupal, he was so very envious. He lost all his good sense. He continued. He says, "Oh Bhishma," although Shishupal lost his good sense, he is telling, "Oh Bhishma, you have lost your good sense." And then he started criticizing Bhishma. He said, "I will tell the world why you took the vow of celibacy." He said, "Because you are important and you wanted this to hide from the world, that's why you have taken a vow of celibacy." Oh, for a Kshatriya, for any man to be called as a important, it is a great insult. What to speak of a Kshatriya who is known for his power, virility, you know, enthusiasm, energy. Now just see the wonderful response of Bhishma. Bhishma, he tolerated everything, did not speak a word. That is a quality of a spiritualist, a devotee of the Lord. Very wonderful. The wonderful quality of a devotee of or a spiritualist is he is very much tolerant. When somebody insults him, he is not disturbed. He just tolerates. But if somebody does some injustice to some others, or Supreme Lord, or the devotee cannot tolerate it. And Bhishma, he showed this by his own example. He tolerated all the insults. Everybody was shocked in silence. There was a shocked silence when Shishupal said this. Bhima, he got up, enraged. He was about to kill Shishupal. Bhishma, he stopped Bhima. He said, "Oh Bhima, please don't contaminate the sanctity of this sacrificial arena, because if you kill, then the blood will be shed here and the fire sacrifice will become contaminated. You don't worry, Krishna is just waiting. He will do the needful." And ultimately, we know the story how, Shishupal, generally he would count how many insults he is doing. This time he lost the count. When a person is so very obsessed with insulting others, criticizing others, not finding good in others, he does not realizes when he is coming close to his own destruction. Therefore, scriptures they always tell again and again, learn to see good in others. Don't try to magnify the faults of others. Faults are there in everyone. But only a sober person, only an intelligent person will look towards the good in others. Shishupal, because he was so very envious, he crossed his limit of 100, because Krishna had given a promise to the mother of Shishupal. I will not kill him till the time he crosses the limit of 100 insults. Generally, Shishupal would count, but this time he lost his count. And Krishna, he immediately beheaded Shishupal in such a way that there was no drop of blood shed. So this episode, it shows the intense devotional attitude of Bhishma, because his Lord was getting glorified. He was so very happy. Actually, all the practice of spirituality should bring one to this level of serving Krishna, serving God, devotion. Nehayat karma dharmaya na viragaya kalpate na tirthapad sevaya jivan napi mritopi sa. It is described, if your actions are not leading to religious activities, dharma, if your dharma is not making you detached from the worldly pleasures, if your detachment is not bringing one close to Krishna, it is all useless. Bhishma, he was intensely devoted to Krishna. All his religious practices were meant for only one thing, to surrender to Krishna. Duryodhan, he became so envious when he saw the opulence of Yudhishthir. And then ultimately he arranged for the gambling match, and Pandavas, they were called. Yudhishthir, he gambled everything including Draupadi. And this is also another very very bewildering episode, that when Draupadi, she was gambled, and Karna, he told that he gave a suggestion, yeah, that now Draupadi is a slave, whether she is brought with clothes or without clothes doesn't matter. Dushashan, he went and dragged Draupadi right in the middle of the assembly and tried to disrobe Draupadi. Draupadi, she pleaded with everybody, starting with Bhishma. She said, oh Bhishma Pitama, you know, please tell me, is it right? Yudhishthir Maharaj has already gambled himself. How can a person who has gambled himself already gamble something else? Now understand that. Who is Bhishma? Bhishma is a great personality who knows the religion thoroughly. He was the one who gave instructions to Yudhishthir after the battle of Kurukshetra. The instructions of Bhishma to Yudhishthir, they comprise a huge part of Mahabharata. That Bhishma, he said, laws of morality are very difficult to understand. It is said that a person who has gambled himself cannot gamble anything else, but a wife is always under the care of the husband. So therefore I am confused. How to understand this? So there are two ways to understand this. Certainly Bhishma, he knew dharma, but it was the arrangement of the Lord that he became confused. Why? Bhishma, he was caught up in this principle of niyama agraha. Niyama agraha means following something just for the sake of following. The essential principle is the chastity and the respect of a woman should always be maintained. That is a higher principle. But Bhishma, he was stuck in the lower principle, that wife is always under the care of a husband. He can gamble the wife. So therefore we have to understand that when Bhishma, he said, I am confused, it was the arrangement of the Lord to show that ultimately a great personality like Bhishma can also get bewildered. We should not blame, you should never criticize Bhishma, because Bhishma is a great devotee of the Lord. He is acting under the will of Krishna. What was the will of Krishna? Krishna wanted to prove to the world, show to the world, whoever you may be, however good contacts you may have, however powerful personally you may be, but Krishna is the ultimate protector. Draupadi had five very, very powerful husbands. She had such wonderful, powerful relatives like Bhishma, Drona, but still she was helpless and she had to surrender to Krishna, and of course, Krishna protected her. So, when we hear all these stories about Bhishma, we should never think, how can Bhishma do this? Bhishma was acting under the will of Lord. That's how he was confused. This theme comes many times in the scriptures. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was confused. Arjuna, he is a great devotee of the Lord. He is a knower of religious principles. He knows all the religion. He is there with Krishna whole life. He is never bewildered ordinarily. It was the will of the Lord, because Krishna wanted to speak Bhagavad Gita for the benefit of all the worlds. And when Krishna, he wants to show something to the world, he chooses his own devotees, because they never question Krishna's decisions. They know whatever Krishna is doing is good. Just like it is said, when a mother, when you know person when uh, bahu, daughter-in-law comes. So mother-in-law, if she has to tell something to the daughter-in-law, then she will not tell directly to the daughter-in-law, because now she does not have a relationship with the daughter-in-law. So what she'll do? She will chastise the daughter. Even though the daughter-in-law is doing some mistake, she'll chastise the daughter, because daughter knows, oh, my mother is doing this just to teach the daughter-in-law. So therefore the daughter never questions the intentions of mother. Similarly, devotees, they never question the intentions of Krishna. So Bhishma, ultimately he could not speak anything, and then Pandavas were exiled. And Bhishma, he tried his best to give good counsel. Ultimately he could not stop the war also. And externally one may think, oh, Bhishma, he fought on the side of Kauravas because of wealth. Because actually he also said, because the king is providing me, and I am completely caught up by the wealth which I am given by the king. Actually that is not the case. This is just a superficial understanding about Bhishma. The actual understanding is he fought on the side of Kauravas because he was inspired by the Lord. It was the will of the Lord. Lord wanted to show to the world, whoever you may be, however powerful, however learned, however religious, virtuous you may be personally. But if you are on the side of adharma, however great person you may be, if you are on the side of adharma, then for sure the person will be destroyed. Krishna wanted to make this very, very, make this very, very strong, you know, proclamation to the whole world. Whoever you may be, if you are on the side of adharma, for sure you will be destroyed. Bhishma, he was most powerful. He defeated Parshuram. Who was Parshuram? Parshuram killed all the Kshatriyas 21 times. Bhishma, he was most learned. He learned from Brihaspati, the guru of the Devatas. He learned from Markandeya. He learned from Parshuram. He learned from many other sages. Such a wonderful personality. Decades and decades of experience of diplomacy, politics, administration. Such a wonderful personality. Unbeatable. Even though he was such an old personality, nobody could just stand in front of him in the war. Still, he failed. Still, he was defeated. Bhishma, he was ready to be misunderstood. He was ready to sacrifice his reputation, sacrifice all his name, fame for devotion. He was acting according to the will of Lord, to show to the world that if you are on the side of adharma, you can never win. So that is the mood of Bhishma. It is so very difficult. Bhishma is misunderstood many times. Why he fought on the side of Kauravas? He was ready to be misunderstood because he knew this is what Lord wants me to do. And he wholeheartedly followed the will of the Lord. Whatever Lord wanted, Bhishma was ready to do. He did not even care what the world will say about him. That is a wonderful, glorious character of Bhishma. So we'll stop here. We'll continue next time. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So if anybody has any
Thank you very
questions.
much, Prabhuji. Uh, as usual, you are really enlightening us with Bhishma Pitama's the mood and why he did certain things. I think he's one of the most difficult people, personalities, devotee of the Supreme Lord. Uh, Very difficult to understand him, why he did what he did. So this has been so. Prabhuji, there is initially when you started the session, you made the statement that expectation is the cause of suffering.
Yeah.
I think most of us are able to relate to that and understand that. But still, how to, is there some practical ways to get rid of this expectation?
Okay. So yeah, because it is described that Ashanam hi manusyanam kaschid ashcharya shrinkhala baddha sarva pradhavanti mukta tishtati panguvat. This is a nice subhashit which says that generally a person which is bound by chains cannot run, cannot go anywhere. But Asha is such a wonderful chain. The person who is bound by the chain of desires runs everywhere. And Mukta Tishtati Panguvat. The person who is free from chains, generally he should go everywhere. He should be able to go, do whatever he would like. But a person who is free from the desires, free from the chain of desires, although he is free to do anything, he sits at one place peacefully. So this desire is, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita also, Dushpurena Analena, insatiable burning fire. The desires in everyone's heart, it is insatiable. People in this world, they think if I'll satisfy my desires, I'll become peaceful and happy. But the nature of these desires is the more you put fuel, the more they increase. It never becomes satiated and satisfied. So, what is the way out? How can we practically understand? So, we have to basically learn from the scriptures that the world is actually a temporary place. And if we want to be peaceful, then we have to actually see the world from the eyes of the scriptures. See people around, people who are so very rich, billionaires, they should be happiest, but still they are so very miserable because the desire never goes. So a person spiritually should learn when he sees the world. When we see people around who are so very rich, they have everything, but still many times they are not peaceful. That observation should make one sober. Keep your eyes open. Many times, we think we are able to see, we are intelligent, but we are not able to see the stark realities of life. If we do the observation nicely, we'll understand that actually the more you try to satisfy the desires, the more you become miserable. Most of the time, the desires, they are unattainable. We desire so many things we cannot attain. Even if we attain, we don't attain to our expectations, whatever we wanted. It is unpalatable. Even if we attain something according to our expectations, it is unretainable. So therefore, when we learn from the scriptures, learn to see the world through the eyes of scriptures. That is the only way by which we can become peaceful. Our desires will go down. The desires in the heart can be purified if we get a higher taste. Just like if somebody is a beggar, if he's eating a dry chapati, if he is given nice feast, why he'll look towards the dry chapati? Similarly, if we get a higher taste of enjoyment, yes, of course, as a human being, we have to enjoy. But how to enjoy properly, that we have to learn from scriptures. So, therefore, there are no shortcut ways to become free from the desires. What we have to do is we have to cultivate this habit of, reading the scriptures, cultivating the vision by which we can see the world properly. and that will happen slowly. That's how you have to sharpen your intelligence. At present, our intelligence is not so much strong. So when we take shelter of scriptures, it is like sharpening our intelligence. That's what Bhagavad Gita is all about. That's what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says again and again. He's telling Arjuna, oh Arjuna, just see from the eyes of scriptures. Arjuna, he had everything. He had all the skills, but he was lacking the willpower. That is what happens many times. We have so many of the desires, but we cannot control our desires. When we take shelter of scriptures, we realize that these desires are like fire. The more you put fuel in the fire, the more the fire will grow. So that is what practically will help us by connecting to Supreme Lord, by reading scriptures, and by the process of chanting the names by meditation. you know so that is the very simple way. Living in the world, we can do it. Anybody, anywhere, can read Bhagavad Gita, chant the names of Lord. That's how slowly the desires will go down, desires will subside, the expectations will go down. When we are connecting to the supreme reality, we'll realize that happiness of the this world is insignificant. That's why the great saintly personalities, they are ready to give up everything, and they are ready to be, just satisfied with the Supreme Lord. As a person living in a city, we cannot just give up everything, but we can, wherever we are, we can connect to the Lord. From our place, at our pace, we have to join the race of connecting to God, connecting to Krishna. So that is the prescription for purifying our expectations. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, Prabhuji, another thing which was coming to my mind, like you were speaking about cheating mentality, and when we have too many desires, then we sometimes don't even realize that we are cheating people. We justify it in our mind.
Yeah.
There's that, this is for the higher good. Or so, how do we balance this out? That in the name of higher good, we start cheating.
Okay. Yeah. So, many times, even as a spiritualist, we think, oh, now we are practicing a spiritual life, and this is not so bad. Just like people, they say, oh, when they are traveling, and some of the relative calls, oh, where have we reached? So they are coming from CS, Borivali to Dadar, and they have reached just Andheri, and they'll say, oh, just I have reached Dadar, पहुंच ही गया बस अभी. So this is how people, they understand, think that, oh, now I have started practicing spiritual life, it is okay to speak some lies, so okay to cheat, because this is ultimately for a higher cause. But we have to understand, when we are doing this daily or small, small things, we may think, oh, this is harmless. I'm not doing any harm. You may think, you may justify, oh, actually, I'm saving him from some, anxiety. But actually, if we do wrong thing, if we cheat, if we speak lies, what we are doing is we are making it our second nature. Unconsciously, it becomes our second nature. So consciously, we have to cultivate this habit of truthfulness, satyam. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, anudvega karam vakyam satyam priyahitam chayat. So our words should be pleasing to others, they should be true, and for the welfare of others. So therefore, because we don't even realize that, oh, it is becoming my second nature. So at the first step, we have to just stop this mentality of speaking lies, cheating others. What to speak of greater cheating business. So as they say, one person came to Srila Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, I am a businessman, I have a glass factory. So Srila Prabhupada, he asked him, so where are you getting your raw material from? So he said, oh Swamiji, I get the raw material from sand, I extract silica from it, and I make a glass. So Srila Prabhupada, he said, oh, so that means you are a thief. You are stealing from God. You are cheating. You are not giving anything. So he said, no, no, Swamiji, actually I am giving some donation also. So Srila Prabhupada said, oh, Hira Chor or Khira Chor, both are chore only. Either you are stealing a diamond or you are stealing a cucumber. So if you are not having the mentality of being truthful, being honest, ultimately we become a cheat, we become a thief. So therefore, scriptures they begin with the foundational principle that speak truth. That is the only limb which is remaining actually in Kali Yuga, speaking truth, and slowly it is also getting destroyed because of this one principle not being followed. Families they get disrupted. You know, the husband and wife they cannot trust each other. The father cannot trust children, children cannot trust father, friends cannot trust each other because this cheating mentality is so very deeply ingrained in the society. So therefore, scriptures they tell again and again, if we want to maintain a peaceful society, this speaking truth is very, very important. That's how we can begin. To avoid this cheating mentality, that's how we can begin by speaking truth always, whatever extent possible. Don't make it our second nature and don't speak lie. We should not speak lies, on every second sentence. So that is very, very important. That's how the society will be peaceful society. And slowly over a period of time, as I said, by purifying our mentality, purifying our mind by chanting the names of Lord and scriptures, they are the ultimate, purifiers. The all these things may help, but ultimate purifiers are connecting to Supreme Lord. It's like the sun purifies everything. Similarly, scriptures and Supreme Lord can purify everybody and everything. So there is no substitute to getting connected to the scriptures because scriptures they have the power, they have the potency, they are words of God. And Krishna describes in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam and in all the scriptures that people who are following the spiritual life naturally they develop all the good qualities. And what to speak of this cheating business? They develop all the good qualities of amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, shantir, arjavam, acharyopasanam, all these. There is a list of 20 qualities, which is there in Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter. Tendency to respect everybody, not expecting any respect for ourselves, not performing, not committing any violence towards others, very gentle, modest. All these qualities, they naturally come when we are practicing spiritual life, doing meditation, reading scriptures regularly. So that's what we can say about this cheating mentality. Okay.
Yes. So one last question, Prabhuji. This is in connection to the whole basically class only. That Bhishma Pitama, being such an exalted personality, understood the will of the Lord. At our own small level, us practicing, doing sadhana bhakti or doing some, in small way, doing some spiritual activities. So how do we understand the will of the Lord? Because we are not even conscious of our own thoughts. How do we become conscious of the Supreme Lord's will?
Yeah. Yeah, so there is no nothing difficult to understand, the will of the Lord because the will of the Lord is given in scriptures. See, we are not great personalities like Bhishma, that Krishna will put us into all the difficult situations and troubles. Many times we are suffering our own karmas, our own activities. So therefore, we have to understand for us, it is very, very clear what is our role, what we are supposed to do. Whatever is mentioned in scriptures, dharma, he, Vedo Narayana Sakshat. All the scriptures, they are the embodiments of Krishna. So it is not so difficult to understand the will of the Lord for everybody because all the scriptures, all Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam describes again and again what is the will of the Lord. What does Lord want from all the living entities? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, says Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all the scriptures. Essence of Bhagavad Gita is the middle six chapters. Essence of middle six chapters is the ninth chapter. Essence of the ninth chapter is the last verse of ninth chapter. So this verse is therefore essence of the essence of the essence of the essence. You know. So, and what is that verse? Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi yuktvaivam atmanam mat parayana. This is the will of the Lord for everybody of us. Become my devotee, be conscious of me, always think of me, worship me. In this way, you will come to me. So there is no confusion. Oh, what is the will of the Lord for me? There is no difficult will. Only simple thing is whatever you're doing, accept Krishna also. Man manabhav, always think of Krishna. That's how we have to become Krishna conscious. Add Krishna, whatever we may be doing. That is the will of the Lord. So, and still, if you think, oh, if somebody says, I'm not able to understand scriptures, it is so very difficult. Many people say, oh, to understand Bhagavad Gita is so very difficult. There are three things: saintly personalities, the scriptures, and the teachers, spiritual master. If you cannot understand scripture, just approach a saintly personality. He will tell very clearly what is the will of the Lord, which is written in the scriptures for everybody of us. And very simply, Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita, just try to chant the names, try to think of me, try to remember me, whatever way possible. The wonderful verse Krishna speaks, Mam Anusmara Yudhya. Always remember me and fight also. This is very much relevant for people of Kali Yuga. People say, oh, we cannot be like you, just staying in temple, you don't have to do anything else. Yes, that is a situation for very few people, but most of the people, they are staying in the world, what they have to do? Mam Anusmara Yudhyacha. Always remember me and fight. That is the instruction of Krishna to Arjun. So, as a person staying in the world doing so many of the duties, so many responsibilities, our family, our job, our personal health, Mam Anusmar, whatever we may be doing, just try to do some direct activities of Krishna consciousness. Reading, chanting, these are the direct activities of Krishna consciousness. The more we are attentive when we are doing the direct activities of Krishna consciousness, the more Krishna is in the forefront when we are doing the direct activities of Krishna consciousness. To that extent, Krishna will be in the background when we are doing the indirect activities of Krishna consciousness. What are the indirect activities of spiritual life? Taking care of family, doing our job, doing so many things in the society. They are indirectly connected to Krishna only. So therefore, to understand the will of the Lord is not so difficult. What we have to do is just, you know, approach a superior personality, a saintly teacher, ask submissively and follow the instructions. And of course, the scriptures are always there to tell us what is the will of the Lord for all of us. Okay, so
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much. Hare
So
Krishna.
thank
We'll
you very much, Hare
eagerly
Krishna.
wait for our next week. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me a chance to serve all of you. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.